Predator Badlands is one of the most anticipated movies of the year. They were nice enough to screen the first 15 minutes of the movie for the panel here at San Diego Comic-Con. Some of us got a chance to see it. Joining me to talk about the footage and what it means for the franchise is Bob Marshall and Clint Gage. Guys, let's get into it. We should note this video will contain spoilers for the first 15 minutes of Predator Badlands. So set this up for us, Bob. Going into this, there have been a couple trailers released, and we know that this movie is going to feature a Predator as the protagonist. He's the good guy this time, and he has a synthetic companion played by Elle, who is manufactured by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. So, with that said, what did you see in the first 15 minutes?
Oh, so no Elle, but it was all about the Predator's backstory. This Predator that we see is not a fully formed Predator yet. This is a Predator in training. He is young. He is considered the runt of the litter in his family, and he is fighting his brother, who easily bests him. Very easily bests him. Basically says, you're not ready to be a Predator yet. You don't get to have your cloaking device or anything like that. I should also mention this was also completely said in their language, Yautja, which I believe it's called. So it was totally with subtitles, completely captured. They made an entire new language for this. So what happens is he fights his brother easily bests him, and then their father comes. And their father, you might have seen him from the trailer. He's the guy with the big kind of like white dreads, really imposing looking dude. He basically tells the older brother, hey, I thought I told you to kill your younger brother. The older brother then pushes the younger brother into a spaceship and then fights his father. The father ends up actually killing the older brother, while the younger brother screams, and the younger brother is then sent off, launched into outer space to try to, as he said earlier, to try to prove himself as a predator. He's going to try to kill the most unkillable beast on a very hostile planet. So that is kind of where we leave off, where he is leaving. His father seems to be after him and also hunting him. So a lot of family drama, but it looks awesome. Really emotional, action-packed. I'm there for it.
What was the reaction like in Hall H?
Oh, they loved it. Oh,
okay.
Hall H was all about it. Kevin Smith did the panel, and he did a great job setting it up. I think the director, Dan Trachtenberg, I had seen his earlier Predator movie, Prey, and I was a big fan of that. He really is interested in doing something different with this franchise, and I think really setting Predator as protagonist is something we've never seen before, and we immediately feel for the guy. You know, he's got a dead brother and a father he's trying to impress who wants to kill him. Rough times.
Pretty standard childhood stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
So, do you think it's really expanding on the universe, making the Predator the protagonist this time around? Is that going to change the way we think about the whole Predator as a community, as a culture? I
mean, we're definitely rooting for him. This is Predator as underdog, right? We have not really seen that before, and Predator with a lot of emotional baggage too. We haven't seen that before. The director Dan Trachtenberg said, the way he wanted the audience to root for the Predator is basically no humans. He said the moment you see a human in the movie, you start relating to the human as a human watching it, and so his thought was, well, I needed somebody human-esque, and maybe an android, and who makes androids? Weyland-Yutani, so that's Elle Fanning's character. We don't see her in the 15 minutes of footage, but you can tell that he's on his way to meet her.
Yeah. Dan Trachtenberg seems to be doing a good job. He seems to get it, right? I mean, you mentioned Prey, and Clint and I have both seen Killer of Killers.
I mean, Dan Trachtenberg for me is the most interesting part about this whole deal. Like he seems, it's cool that Predator as a franchise effectively has a showrunner, right? Who's also an incredibly talented filmmaker that makes really good stuff. I love that he's doing specific things with each of these movies. You know, this movie is about being able to identify or root for a predator for the first time. You know, Prey was a very specific story about Naru and her journey and everything like that. It's not just a creature feature, the muscle-bound, let's kick some ass in a jungle sort of way that the franchise started. Like, he's doing different things, and he's making sure to make interesting stories at the center of each of these encounters with the Predator, which to me was the coolest part about Killer of Killers. Like, I think this, Killer of Killers was a movie that tied action to emotional stakes in really just textbook kind of ways. Like that movie, Dan Trachtenberg just gets it. Like, I mean, I guess at the end of the day here, my reaction to these first 15 minutes, or just hearing about him, is basically like, in Trachtenberg I trust. Like he's clearly shown that he gets this franchise, and he's got enough freedom to kind of do what he wants, it seems like.
It.
Yeah.
Seems like it. I mean, you mentioned him as showrunner of the franchise. It seems like that's the approach they should take with these legacy franchises. You know, I think Terminator and Alien could use somebody like that who seems to get it. Just entrust them with the franchise, and they'll take it to new and interesting places.
One of the this is kind of unrelated, but one of the things I love about what Predator's doing is like, there's these franchises that are built off of Stan Winston creatures. So there's Predator, there's Alien, there's Terminator, there's even Jurassic Park, you know, and like having his DNA in all of those franchises over the like. Until recently, I would have said none of those franchises needed to make more than 2 movies.
Yep.
Because they've all just kind of stumbled along and kept going. And I think having Trachtenberg at the helm and behind sort of an overarching thing with this franchise is something that it's a luxury the other franchises just don't really have. Alien is starting to move in that direction as well. But like he's, you know, if he's got the keys, I think we're in good shape.
I am available to act as showrunner for the Critters franchise if they're looking for that. Okay, Killer of Killers. I loved it as well. If anyone isn't familiar, it's an animated anthology film that tells 3 stories of people throughout history who encounter a predator, and then there's sort of a nice little tie-up, put a bow that's put on it at the end of it. I loved it. I immediately declared it the second best Predator movie. Maybe there's a little recency bias there, but recently people have pointed out that there maybe there's a troubling issue with it, which is the whole concept is that after you defeat a predator, the Yautja, they kidnap you, put you on ice and cryo-freeze, and then take you back to their home planet or one of them, and then they force you to fight to the death in a battle royale against each other and other alien creatures.
Yeah, I mean, they've got that Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of warehouse full of people who have killed a predator or species that have killed a predator over the years there at the end. And you were in the room when they showed the new footage.
Yep. So the new footage for Killer of Killers is very interesting. They show that big warehouse, and in cryo-freeze you see Naru, but then you also see Danny Glover's character, and then you also see Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dutch, his character. Dan Trachtenberg revealed during the panel that he had spoken to Arnold Schwarzenegger and basically got the A-OK to continue telling stories with Dutch and using Arnold's likeness. So that's interesting. That was definitely a shock. That new footage, I believe, it's just been added to Hulu on Killer of Killers, so you can actually go watch it now.
I imagine it's short.
Yeah, it's
short.
Oh yeah, it's very short. It's just scanning through the bodies in the cryo freeze and ending on a shot of Dutch. So that is, I think. That was a bit of a shock in the room.
Well, I think the problem that some people have is that it sort of ruins the mythos that if you defeat a predator, the Yautja now respect you, right? Like we see that at the end of Predator 2. Danny Glover's character defeats the predator, and then the other predators reveal themselves, and they gift him a Revolutionary-era pistol, which shows up again in Prey, and then shows up again in Killer of Killers.
It shows up a lot. You can't get rid of that pistol.
And that seems like, okay, you've defeated one of us, you have our respect now. But what, now they come back the next day and take the pistol back and put him on ice and kidnap him? That's the problem I think people have.
Yeah, I mean, it's the funny thing about Killer of Killers being kind of an animated offshoot on Hulu version of an entry into the franchise, but it does establish something that is pretty far-reaching and impactful for the, like you say, you get one, and then a week or so later they show up and abduct you and put you on ice, I guess, which is an interesting bit of lore, and I think speaks to what Trachtenberg's doing in terms of like building out the Yautja, particularly in making them more relatable and rooting for one. Actually, you have to sort of understand their culture and what they're dealing with, and so that being part of all of that initiative, like it sort of makes sense. You know, I don't have a problem with that as lore. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, and like you start to tug on a thread of just like, but they gave Danny Glover that scene where all the predators show up and Danny Glover goes, all right, who's next? Like that's cool.
Yeah,
that is
cool.
objectively very cool. I don't think it ruins that moment for me. You know, that movie still exists and all that stuff. And my only concern is that I like that Trachtenberg is going and doing new things and taking it in a new direction. I don't want to get bogged down in like this legacy stuff necessarily. Like I like that Predator has momentum in a direction. I don't want to see it necessarily get super bogged down with like, well, now we get to do more Dutch things. You know, I already name-checked Jurassic Park once, but they so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop thinking they should. Hopefully, Trachtenberg
I will
puts
mention
a lot of thought into whether or not he should.
I will mention something that Dan said during the panel, which is, you know, obviously he's using Weyland Yutani. Like the idea is like, oh, is a xenomorph going to show up in this movie? And he basically said no. And his reasoning was, he said, it can be very tempting when you're a director and you're given a lot of pieces, like action figures, to sort of like mash them together. And he said that is something that he is not trying to do. So that makes, you know, the re-edition of Dutch into the franchise, I'm a little okay with it if that's the way he's thinking about this, and that's like the 1,000-foot view. Kevin Smith did ask him at some point, you're the Predator guy, are you going to be the Alien versus Predator guy at some point? Yeah. And Dan just kind of said, wouldn't it be nice? Left it at that.
Sure. It would be nice.
It would be nice.
I think so.
The way I sort of resolved the issue of kidnapping people who've defeated the Predator and taking them back to their planet, maybe the Yautja is there's different branches of this culture, this civilization, and maybe it's just one sort of factor of it that is doing this, and not the Yautja, the wider Yautja.
You're saying they're not communicating?
I mean, maybe, I don't know, or maybe they don't get along, and
like some of the Yautja are like, I mean, I need to kill.
Yeah, I want to
most powerful being, but
exactly.
like I'm not crazy like those people that
exactly.
freeze. Yeah.
So how are you feeling about Badlands?
I am so optimistic.
I'm really excited.
Those first 15 minutes, like it was action-packed. It was not even fully, like the CGI wasn't even fully rendered yet. So we saw a very, very early cut of it, but most of it is done. It looks really great. It feels really great. It just feels so different. Yeah. Like in the way that when you watch Prey, you're like, this feels different than everything that came before. This also feels different. And it left an emotional toll. It really made me feel for the Predator in the first 15 minutes, which in a way that I never have. So I'm excited to explore what that means. The other tease that Elle Fanning dropped is that says she's actually playing 2 characters.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what that could mean. Multiple androids? I don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm here. I'm on board.
Yeah, this is one that's been on my calendar since they announced it. I mean, honestly, I was such a fan of Prey and I'm such a fan of Killers. Like, I've been looking forward to Badlands. Nothing I've seen or heard about it so far has changed my mind about that. Like, it's nice to get those movies that you're like, so wait, Predator's a good guy? Like, didn't realize I needed that, but okay, give it a try. Okay. And it looks great.
I mean, once upon a time, they made the Terminator a good guy.
Yep.
And it worked out okay. Bob, Clint, thanks for joining me today. I think it's safe to say the Predator franchise is heading in an exciting new direction. We're thrilled about it. You can catch lots more coverage of Predator Badlands on IGN.com, but right now, there's lots more San Diego Comic-Con coming up on IGN. Don't go anywhere.